Hey YouTube. I just figured that I would do somewhat of like an update on my infertility story. I have a few videos up here from different cycles of Clomid that I did, and I pretty much abruptly stopped after, I think it was after Clomid cycle 3, I think. It was just getting too depressing and emotional to have to keep doing cycles and getting no results from it and posting videos, and I don't know, it was really hard for me to do videos back then and edit them and have to pretty much say out loud every cycle that it wasn't working. So now a lot has happened since then, and I just felt like it was important to update on my fertility treatments and what we did and what worked and all that great stuff. So I have all my notes and such here, and I'm just gonna pretty much just do a little quick update. So for those who haven't watched the videos, I guess I'll just do like a quick run through. I was diagnosed with PCOS when probably about a year into us already trying with no success. So I went to the doctor, I got a blood workup and all these different tests done, and they found out that I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that pretty much means that my body wasn't making eggs. I was making cysts. Sorry, my neighbor just let their dog out, and it's this huge Great Dane, and he freaks me out. But pretty much my ovaries were making cysts, but they weren't making eggs. So that's what PCOS was. Whenever we got that news, it pretty much sucked. Sorry. It pretty much sucked, and it was pretty much a hard blow because I grew up pretty much, not most of my life, but I grew up and still to this day have different autoimmune disorders like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and just a whole bunch of issues going on with me. So to hear that there was something else wrong with me and that this new thing wrong with me could potentially keep me from ever having children was really, really hard to take in. By then, whenever we found that out, I was about 19, almost 20. I was 19 actually. Yeah, I was 19 when I found out I had PCOS. A lot of doctors didn't really take me seriously and didn't really want to help because of how young we were, but granted, you know, I feel like age is just a number. I've been through more in my life now than most adults have with my illness and stuff like that. I was ready for a child, pretty much. So a lot of doctors didn't want to help me. Instead of, you know, wanting to do a fertility workup, they just wanted to put me on birth control pills. They're like, oh, take these birth control pills, they should regulate your periods or whatever, which was bogus. It probably works for some people, but it didn't work for me. So I could constantly change doctors. And pretty much all the doctors I went to wanted to do the same thing with the birth control pills. And I would tell them that I already did that, and still nobody would want to help me. So that was like the quickest way of being like, yeah, you're on your own. So I finally found a doctor, and we were stationed in Louisiana, and he was awesome. He didn't look at our age. At the time, I was 20, almost 21 when we started seeing him. He was really nice. The day we came in, he did blood work. He confirmed I had PCOS, and he was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the route that we're going to take, which was awesome because for a long time, we were searching for somebody just to help. And first thing he did was do like the dye test. Well, he did blood work, found I had PCOS, and he wanted to make sure that my tubes were open so that when I did start the medicine, there was nothing else hindering me from getting pregnant, you know, that he wasn't aware of. So we went and we got the HSG. I don't know the abbreviation name for it. I don't know the full name for it. If I look it up before I put this video up, I'll insert it. But got an HCG test done, which is where they squirt dye like pretty much in your uterus, just and look on the camera to see if both of your tubes are open and free of any blockage. And you pretty much find out then right on the spot, right after the test, the results. And thank God both my tubes were open. The only issue that I had going on was not making eggs. So from there, he put me on metformin. It's a miracle drug, but it has its side effects. I was on metformin 1,500 milligrams. We tried that by itself for a while. It was really hard on my stomach. It makes you feel really, really sick, and makes you like not even want to get out of bed. But I kept taking them religiously, and we tried probably like 4 cycles just metformin alone, and I was going in doing my blood workups, and I still wasn't producing eggs. My hormone levels were more balanced, but I wasn't making eggs. So that's when he decided to add the Clomid. So we started the Clomid. He started me off at 50 milligrams, no, 25 milligrams. Then he bumped up to 50, then we bumped up to 100, and then he bumped up to like 150. Like, pretty much we were going up by 50s every cycle, every other cycle. And then finally we were put on 200 milligrams of Clomid, which was the max that he could give me. So I was just praying, like, please God, let this work for me, because if this doesn't work for me, I don't know what else we would do. You know, I know there's other drugs like Primera, I know there's IUI and IVF, but I just really wanted for the Clomid to work for me, because I don't know how I would have handled going through all the steps of the fertility drug and no results. But luckily each dosage of Clomid I was ovulating, and I was going and getting my numbers, but the my hormone levels weren't as high as he wanted them to be. They were like barely at the point that shows that I'm actually ovulating. So as we went up with the dosages, my levels started going up. I was always pretty much in the range of like a 15 to an 18 of an ovulation, which is good. I think he told me he wanted to see anything higher than a 3 or a 5. So, you know, 15 to 18 isn't that bad, but those cycles I wasn't getting pregnant. And it was probably like, we did 3 cycles of the 200 milligrams. After cycle 2 failed, of the dosage of 200 milligrams, I just wanted to stop trying because my husband was about to deploy. I was getting really discouraged and depressed and just dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. So I wanted to stop trying, and he told me, you know, we still have one more chance to fit a cycle in before I deploy. Don't give up. If you don't try this cycle, you're gonna regret it, and you're gonna always second guess yourself. So he pretty much psyched me up and pumped me up to give the Clomid another shot. So another reason why I was really depressed and didn't want to try was that my grandmother had passed away that May, which was right when I needed to start taking my pills. I was taking them cycle day 3 to 5, and she passed away like the week before I was supposed to start taking Clomid again, and that like hit me really hard because I always wanted her to be able to meet, you know, our children. But so Justin pretty much pumped me up, so I listened to him. I took my Clomid. You know, we did the deed like we were supposed to, and I went to get my blood draw like normal. I really wasn't expecting anything. And I remember the day that my doctor called me back with my my hormone, my ovulation levels, whatever they're called. My husband had his pre-deployment ceremony, so that was also a pretty sucky day because I knew his deployment was approaching. So my doctor called me like right after we got back from the deployment ceremony, and I was already pretty bummed because that meant like Justin was going to deploy within a few weeks. And he called me, and he has a really heavy accent, and when he called me he was like, "Hey Nadia," he was like, "I have your levels for you." And I was like, "Okay, like what are they?" Hit me with my 18 or my 15, and he was like, "It's a 58.8. And I almost like fell out on the floor. Like, granted, your ovulation levels don't really tell you whether you're pregnant or not, but the fact that I'm so used to being within the 15, 18 range, or sometimes even lower, hearing a 58.8, I had to like ask him to repeat himself like 3 times. Probably thought I was crazy. I was like, what'd you say? He's like, it's a 58.8. I was like, okay. I was like, thank you. And I was just so pumped up. My levels have never been that high. And I responded to the Clomid along with the metformin grade that cycle. So I had a lot of hope from that day on. But I had to end up going back home to Houston for my grandmother's funeral. So it was around the time, like, you know, I was days past ovulation, waiting to test. And my mom's house was filled with family who came in town for the funeral. So every day when I would test, because I'm like a pee on a stick addict, every day I would test, I would like have to sneak the test in the bathroom in my bra and go test in the middle of the night when everybody was sleeping, because the house was seriously packed. People were sleeping in the living room. I was sleeping in my old bedroom with my sister and my uncle, so I had to sneak those tests. So at, what day was that? On June 16th of 2013, I was 9 days past ovulation, and that was actually the day after my grandmother's funeral. And I went into the bathroom really late at night and I took a test, and the line was like barely there. And I was like, oh, I'm seeing things. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's an evaporation line. So I went through the next day, like not even thinking about it, because I just honestly figured that it was another big fat negative as normal. And the next night I woke up like twice in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And I never have to wake up to go to the bathroom, because if I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. And I was like, you know what, by the time the 3rd time I woke up to go to the bathroom, I was like, I'm gonna take another test because this is weird. I went into the bathroom, I took a test, like one of the like dollar store cheapies. I took it and I'm sitting in the bathroom looking at it, and I'm like, I still see this line, like this is an evaporation line, like why is it showing up on all these tests? Like I must have bought a bad bunch or whatever. So I woke up in the morning and the line was still there and it had some color to it. So after my uncle had woken up and, you know, left out of the room to go hang out with the rest of the family, it was just me and my sister in the room and she was sleeping. And after I saw the color on the line, I got really excited and I woke her up and I was like, hey, I was like, do you see this? And she normally wears glasses. So she looked at it without glasses on and she was so tired. She was like, yeah, I see it. And just tossed it back at me. And then she finally like comprehended like what that was. And she jumped up and she was like, who's pregnant? Who's pregnant? Who's pregnant? And I was freaking out. I'm like, if she sees it and she's not one of those, you know, TTCers trying to conceive people who like stare at the test and hold it up in the light and, you know, want to see a line so bad that you see it. The fact that she saw it, like I was bouncing off the walls. I was like, Janae, you have to make an excuse for me to leave this house. Like, let me borrow your car. I'm going to go to Walmart and get a first response. I'm like, you have to cover for me. Sure enough, she covered for me and told my mom that I needed to go get her some like lotion or something basic. And I took her car and I drove to the Walmart and I bought the test, and I could not wait till I got back home to take that test. I took that test in the Walmart bathroom, and that first response had a line. And if I can find the pictures, I'm going to insert the pictures of how faint that line was in the video. But yeah, that line was really faint, but it was there and it had color. And oh my gosh, I was pregnant. And the sucky part about it was that my husband wasn't in Houston with me because he had to work, so he didn't get to come to the funeral, and he didn't even know I was pregnant. So I was just 10 days past ovulation. I took that test. It was June 17th, 2013. And I just seriously like kept taking tests like that whole day. Like whenever I can get a moment to myself, I was taking tests and like looking at it, and I'm like, it's still there. It's a pink line. It's still there. It's a pink line. I don't know. No matter how many tests I took, it didn't feel real because I never thought that I would be able to get pregnant. I never thought that this would work. I never thought that this time would work. So it pretty much blew my mind, and pretty much I told my sister and my mom that day. And then I drove to my stepmom's house because I'm really close to her, and I told her. And that night we went to the ER together because, you know me, or you know any pretty much woman who have been trying forever to have a baby, you are paranoid. You get that positive test and you would think that all you would be focusing on is, I'm pregnant. No. Fear, like, floods over you. I was so scared. I was like, okay, I'm getting COVID in this test. But what happens if this baby doesn't stick? Or what happens if, the issues with my PCOS causes me to miscarriage? Oh my gosh, I was just freaking out. So that night, me and my stepmom went to the ER, and they told me that I wasn't pregnant because they did one of their tests, and instead of looking hard, like how an infertile person would look, they just like, she's not pregnant. And they drew some blood, and they're like, tomorrow we'll call you with your levels. And sure enough, on June 18th, 2013, they called me, and my beta was my beta was a 15.2, and I believe anything over a 5 is pregnant. So yeah, my beta was a 15.2, and instead of just being like, oh, maybe she found out really early that she's pregnant, no, they called me, they're like, your beta's a 15.2, they're not really high numbers, so this pregnancy will probably end up in a miscarriage, which is something that you should not tell somebody who has been trying for years and years to get pregnant anything about miscarriage unless you know for sure. Doctors are so quick to just throw that word out there like it's nothing. But thank God, like, the fact that I even knew that my levels were higher than a 5, I had hope, and I was like, whatever, y'all can say whatever y'all want. 15.5, 15.2 is high as me. I'm only 10 days past ovulation. Not many people find out they're pregnant at 3 weeks and 4 days. So, so I ended up telling Justin that I was pregnant on FaceTime because he could just tell whenever we were FaceTiming that day. He could tell how happy I was, and he was like, Nadia, like, why are you smiling like that? Are you pregnant? And I did not want to tell him. I was like, no, why would you think that? But he could just tell. And he was like, Nadia, if you're pregnant and you're hiding it from me, I'm going to be so mad at you. So I had to tell him, and he just was so happy. He was in tears, and he just kept saying, I'm going to be a daddy. I'm going to be a daddy. Best day ever. I don't care that I didn't tell him with a present or in person. Like, that reaction was the best reaction ever. So that's pretty much the story as to how our infertility treatments went and ended up. We did 7 full cycles of Clomid, but slowly being bumped up. But what worked for us was 200 milligrams of Clomid, along with 1,500 milligrams of the metformin, and the timed intercourse. We actually did the sperm meets egg plan. If anybody's out there TTCing and is having a hard time tracking that ovulation right, you should honestly try the sperm meets egg plan. It pretty much covers all your bases, and it kind of sucks to like time sex, but at a certain point, after so many years, you kind of don't give a crap. So we did the sperm meets egg plan along with the Clomid and the metformin, and we used the pre-seed. And if you don't know what the pre-seed is, you guys should really check that out if you're trying. I really felt like it helped a lot, especially using Clomid. The pre-seed helps, if you know what I'm talking about with the side effects from Clomid. Yeah. So pretty much that's how our infertility story went. We tried for going on 3 years. We constantly had doctors pretty much just giving us the runaround and not really trying to help, but acting like they were helping. And that alone could get you really discouraged from trying. But honestly, the end result, actually getting that positive test, actually beating infertility, is worth it. It's worth going through a whole bunch of, doctors. It's worth all the side effects from the medication. I don't want to get emotional, but it's honestly, it's worth it. It's really, really worth it. Just for that moment that you see the 2 lines come up on your test. Also, I wanted to add that for pretty much all the cycles except for the cycle that actually worked, I feel like I was missing my ovulation or baby dancing before my ovulation, because it actually, according to like my due date and everything, and when I actually felt like I conceived, I really felt like I was ovulating after I was getting the positive OPK, because I would always feel cramping And I was so in tune with my body from trying for so long. I was so in tune with myself. I could feel when I was ovulating, and I could feel which side I was ovulating from, which was weird because I would go to my doctor for an ultrasound, and he's all like, yep, you're about to ovulate, and there's an egg right there on your right side. And I'm like, yeah, I can feel it. And he's like, really? And so we start playing a game where I'll be like, yeah, I'm ovulating from my left side this time. And he's all like, yeah, I think you're right. So honestly, ladies, you're more in tune with your body than you realize, and listening to your body helps a lot. Because that last cycle we were trying before my husband deployed, I was like, you know what? Let's not just baby dance when I get the positive OPK. Let's keep on baby dancing, which is why we did the sperm meets egg plan. And I feel like that's what it was. We were only ovulating like the day of the positive OPK. You have to just do what you can to catch the egg. Just keep on working at it. It's so weird talking about this, but y'all understand. Just keep on working at it. Just because you get the positive OPK that day doesn't mean that that day, that second is the one chance that you have to get pregnant. Your egg is viable for up to, I think, 24 hours, they said. So have fun and make that baby. But yeah, that's pretty much the update that I wanted to record. It's probably longer than I thought it was going to be because I babble. Later on, I'm going to do a video about how the rest of my pregnancy went, more in depth of my health conditions and why that caused issues in my pregnancy, pretty much. Not really issues, but complications. I'll go more in depth with stuff like that, but I'm trying to put up family vlogs as well as not leave you guys hanging from the vlog or the videos that I used to do based on, that were based on infertility and treatments and all that stuff. So I hope this helped. I hope this shed some light on our infertility journey, and I hope this honestly gives some people out there the push and the motivation to not give up, because I was this close on giving up, and if I did, and if my husband didn't talk me into it and push me the way he did, our son would not be here. So I hope this helped. I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions or comments or have any suggestions on something else that you want me to talk on or update you guys on, just let me know, and I'll make the time when my baby boy is napping to do my solo videos. So, all right, bye YouTube. I just wanted to add these clips at the end of the video, just for those who still need some more motivation, or whoever needs that extra push to keep on going. I know it's not easy. I know it's pretty much the hardest thing you could possibly go through, to be going through fertility treatments and getting negatives time and time again, but eventually it will work. You just really have to just keep positive. If you don't have hope for yourself, and if you don't keep trying and keep pushing yourself, you will never know, what can come of your fertility treatments and what happiness you can be missing out on if you give up. And I know it's easier said than done. Trust me. I mentioned in the video that I almost gave up, but it's really important to continue and push yourself, and just know that it's not always going to be this hard. And if you quit, you'll never know what success felt like.
Which is guaranteed to never go under. Call about the Clomid program now. Let a representative help you get started.
Tired.